So I wanted to try something. Could everyone please close their eyes for me? What now first comes to your mind when I say innovation? Open your eyes again. For many of you, I imagine it was probably something that's high-tech. Things like the iPad, home assistants, or driverless cars. And innovation is all of those things, but it's also a lot more. Today, I want to challenge 3 conventional truths around innovation. And I feel like these things are holding us back, inhibiting us from maximizing the true potential of innovation itself. Number 1 is that we normally associate innovation with being high-tech. Number 2, we assume that innovation happens in vast resource pools. And number 3, we believe implicitly that we're designing our innovation in an inclusive way. So who knows what this is? And who used to own one of these? For anyone that doesn't, this is a Nokia 3310. And if you guys are anything like me, you wasted far too much time of your childhood playing Snake on these things. You probably even have a couple of them lying around at home, and you've assumed they're of no further use. But actually, this is one of the most powerful weapons that exists in the world today against poverty. According to Facebook's State of Connectivity Report 2015, there are over 4 billion people still offline in the world. 75% of these are located in just 20 countries, disproportionately rural, female, illiterate, and poor. Now compare this to yourself, how you woke up this morning, reached for your smartphone, logged onto Facebook and streamed video, constantly connected to the internet. It's so easy to live and think within our own social parameters. But there's some really creative ways old technology has and can be used to combat really complex problems. And when I think in the context of TEDx, I'm always brought back to India and how TED videos and other content is distributed on old mobile SD cards. The issue being is that they don't have access to the cloud, and they don't have good internet to stream video either. So they go to a local store. They pick up an SD card for a few rupees or 2 pence. They take it home and they watch it. Like Blockbuster, but for modern day India. Simple and yet so innovative. Innovation isn't just new ideas, it's new methods. So mobile phones are creating happening in all sorts of different areas, from mobile banking, digital identity, empowering women, agriculture, and education. That old brick phone is changing the lives of millions of people worldwide. And the reason being it's universal. You can introduce a solution all at once, across platform, brand, or interface. I'd like to share with you some of the examples that I've come across and that I think are really innovative. So first of all, Mpesa in Kenya. Mpesa enables the instant transfer of money over text message using a secure code, which people can then pick up in person in stores like this. It doesn't much look like the traditional bank that we're used to in the UK, but it's really very efficient, and it's used by over 20 million people, many of whom would not have had access to a bank account otherwise. In 2013, 43% of Kenya's GDP flowed through Mpesa. From an innovation perspective, Mpesa also enables other tools to build on top, which has paved the way for a whole host of other startups to solve secondary problems. You can instantly borrow money, instantly get insurance, or pay for your child's tuition fees. Without the institutions that we're familiar with, new approaches can emerge. Kenya is a great example of this. Kenya has the highest penetration of mobile money of anywhere in the world. This is something we should admire. Imagine if PayPal could claim that 43% of a country's GDP flowed through their system. My next example is SprachSaul. SprachSaul is saving lives using old mobile phones and a piece of foil. It enables users to check the provenance of any drug, just like your old scratch pay-as-you-go cards. The problem here is that drugs are made in places like this, but you simply cannot tell the difference between the real or the counterfeit. Can any of you? Imagine going to your local pharmacy and not being able to tell whether the drug is going to help you or hinder you. So users simply scratch off a code on the back of a drug packet and text it in. It tells them if it's real or if it's fake. Annually, 700,000 people die each year from fake malaria and fake tuberculosis drugs alone. Compared to the number of people that die from the disease, which is 2.3 million, this is a really significant problem and requires significant attention. SprachSaul is working in a continent that has 25% of the world's major disease burden, but only 2% of doctors. And that's why innovation like this is so important. And I also think there's scope for us to apply this here in the West, because we certainly don't have that level of transparency over our supply chains. Next is Barney. And this example actually never fails to make me smile. There's an offline social network. It's used by over 400,000 people in rural India 5,000 times a day. And it's creating a dialogue for offline rural communities. In particular, it's working to end child marriage, helping these communities understand the real dangers and implications of it. So, audio content, interviews, and radio dramas are distributed on a free-to-call-in voice line. Individuals can then call into that voice line themselves and leave a voice note, which other people can interact with and in turn leave their own voice note, creating a two-way dialogue. The really critical point here is the voice component, because most of the users are actually illiterate. It's designed for the marginalized user, and I think we often don't do that. So do we have anyone from Kenya here in the audience today? One, two, a few of you? So this is the state of a bus station in Nairobi. And I know everyone here probably has their grievances with the bus into university today, but I can assure you that if you're in Nairobi, Kenya, it would be a whole lot worse. Because of market dynamics, buses don't leave until they're totally full. In fact, until they're over capacity. So this wastes up to 2 hours every single day for commuters and for the bus drivers themselves. Commuters have no set pricing schedule. They don't know when the buses are going to leave, and actually it can be really dangerous for them coming back late at night. Magic Bus are changing this with a really simple system. You can check times, book which bus you want to get on, and pay using Mpesa, the tool I spoke about earlier. Basically Uber, but for buses in Africa. So bus crews get more money, commuters get a safe, reliable trip, and unproductive time is turned productive again. Finally, I wanted to talk about Tell a Story. And this is an example actually very close to my own heart. In India, 36% of the adult population are illiterate. And before I go on, I just wanted everyone to take a minute to consider what it would mean to be illiterate. To not be able to read the content in the world around you. What it would mean for your learning and for your communication. You wouldn't be able to read this sign here, or the notes up on the screen. Tell a Story enables illiterate parents to read to illiterate children off the internet. They simply call Tell a Story's number. They enter a book code of a book that will be in front of them, distributed by local NGOs. And then they receive the audio, clicking through in a simple menu-based system. It's actually the same technology that we use when we call our local bank, interactive voice recognition. And I think more than anything, this shows that change doesn't have to be high-tech. So I've shared examples with you in mobile money, healthcare, social, transport, and education. And I could give you many more, from M-Farm, doubling farmers' income in Kenya. UNICEF used this technology to get live disease feedback on the ground in Africa. And Mitra gives pregnant women sensitive information about their health during their pregnancy. This technology is also currently being applied in the current European refugee crisis. So hopefully I've raised your awareness of what that old brick phone is doing. And there's scope to bring all of these projects online in the future as well. But right now, the world simply isn't ready. But what really binds these things together? Well, for me, it's the three conventional truths that I wanted to challenge around innovation earlier. Number one, innovation is not always high-tech. Simplicity can be best, and it can be delivered on your old Nokia phone. 2, inclusivity is being done better in developing economies. The best innovation is inclusive. And when I look at the tech communities of today, so much of what is designed for the 1%, the people at the very top of the pyramid. Contrast to the examples that I've given you, well, they're challenging social causes and inequality on a mass scale. And finally, you don't have to be resource rich to have the resources to innovate. Necessity, in fact, breeds innovation. And we've seen that with telestory in education, Mpesa and introducing people into the economy, or SprachSaul preventing a life or death situation. When we design and we innovate, we often think within a certain perspective. But so much innovation has no significance to many people. I think if we heed these 3 lessons, we can really work to innovate for all of society. And in particular, we can help to break some of those barriers to connectivity that those 4 billion people are facing. So what are you guys going to do now with these ideas? Well, for me, it moved me on a journey to co-found an organization called Mandala Group. Last year, I spent a lot of time traveling, and I visited countries like India, China, Mongolia, Zimbabwe, and South Africa. And on the one hand, I saw the power of these mobile phones. But what really motivated me was when I met people very similar to myself, but they had real barriers to their opportunities. In particular, I'm brought back to India again. There was a security guard that worked outside my building in Mumbai this summer. His one defining feature was that he was always smiling. You couldn't wipe a smile off this guy's face. As I spoke to him more, I learned that he was also 22 and studying at university, just like me. During his night shift, he would read an accounting book in any spare minutes that he had, working on pen and paper. In the morning, he would get up and go to university. He would then sleep for 3 or 4 hours and repeat the whole thing again. And I just thought, how far would that determination get him if he was at Warwick University like me? At Mandala Group, we feel like the type of innovation that I've talked about today is really important. Tell a Story, that I spoke about, is actually our first product, and we piloted it with over 1,500 families around Mumbai. And Magic Bus, well, they're the first socially impactful tool that we've worked with. They've just raised $1 million to change the face of sub-Saharan transportation. Mandala Group design, develop, and distribute these different impactful applications. We're a core team of 4 people, and we work with a whole group of different Mandala members from across Asia who give their time and resources towards this cause. In Marathi, the local dialect of Mumbai, Mandala means community, and that's what we're building. We believe that connectivity is productivity, and we believe in the words of Lao Tzu: give a man a fish, and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. This is exactly what the mobile phone is doing. It's not just giving people technology, it's empowering them to innovate and problem solve on their own to their own problems sustainably. So we're building a home for all these socially impactful phone tools, and we call them impact apps. We see a really big opportunity to create a shared knowledge and collaboration in this space. Ultimately, we want to build an app store for the offline billions. The offline billions are going to rise, and all of the innovation that I've talked about today is going to play a really important role. So that was my next step. What will yours be? As I come to the end, I hope ultimately I've got you to think. What does innovation mean? Does it mean the same thing as it did 15 minutes ago? And do the same examples still spring to mind? How powerful is that mobile phone? I encourage you to watch, because some of the most powerful innovation is going to be coming out of countries like Kenya, China, and India. And finally, I challenge you. I challenge you to think about your next steps, to think about social entrepreneurship, to think about your local community and beyond, and to think about the billions who are offline. If you agree with me that the type of innovation that I've spoken about is important, then join me. Thank you. I'm James Costa. This is my old Nokia, and that was my day with sharing.